Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jenna Cantwell. I'm so thrilled to be here. This is my third time speaking at a Wonder Woman Tech event, and I'm so crushed that I couldn't be there with all of you in Long Beach in person today, but I'm still just so honored and touched to be a part of this. This is such an important organization, and I just want to send some major kudos out to the team that puts this together and plans this. I know it's a ton of work and a ton of effort, but it really does bring some of the best and brightest minds together, and I love to see that. And I'm just truly touched and honored to be here. Again, speaking with all of you. Today, I am really excited because we're talking about one of my favorite things, and that is self-care. And no, I don't mean going to the spa, even though I do love me a good spa day. Today, I mean self-care in the form of self-investment and investing in yourself and your skills, both professionally and personally, to make you more adaptable and future-proof for whatever comes in your future. The reason why this is so important to me, or maybe the reason it's top of mind for me, is because in my own career, I've made several pretty significant career changes. To set that context, I'm going to kind of just walk you through the three chapters of my professional journey so far. So I was a political science major in college, but I was really interested in water resource management, and I got my master's degree in natural resource management, and I started working as a regulatory biologist in the consulting field. I did this for about 7 years. I loved it. My office was often the outdoors. I was in caves. I was out looking for songbirds. And my specialty was threatened and endangered species. So I learned a lot of really cool stuff. I got to work with a lot of really cool people. And just, it was a really fun time. So I like to think of that as the science chapter of my journey. Chapter 2 was financial services. So after I had been in environmental consulting for a while, I was ready for a change. I had an opportunity to go work for a financial services company. I made that change. While I was there, I was a risk analyst. I had a boss who told me I wasn't good enough at math. And so, of course, I went and got my MBA in finance, which was way overkill for what he was asking me to do, but somehow made sense for me at the time. So I like to think of this as the chapter in my career of math. I am not a spreadsheets person. I'm not a math person. So that was a big learning period for me, but one that I'm really grateful that I had. Finally, we come to my current chapter, which is chapter 3, which is tech, being in traditional tech. I came here from financial services 2 years ago, and it's been really fun and a really wild ride. I'm often asked how I was able to make these transitions throughout my career, and really the bottom line is that I realized that from environmental consulting to financial services, if you replace bugs and birds in my job description with banking and insurance, ultimately it's the same job. And then moving to tech, it was really similar. You change those variables out, but the underlying job duties are the same. So I think the reason that has worked is because of something wonderful called transferable skills. I never really thought about transferable skills until I was getting ready to leave environmental consulting. I really felt stuck. I felt very claustrophobic in that field because I didn't really know what options were out there for me, what else I could do. I remember when I made up my mind that I was ready to go on to the next thing, going online and searching for jobs and not even really knowing what keywords to search for or what to look at. So I was focused really on more environmental work, more work with birds and bugs and the Endangered Species Act and those types of projects, but there just wasn't a whole lot out there, especially where I was located in Central Texas. So one day I shared with a friend that I was thinking about a career move, but that I was having kind of a hard time finding something that felt like a good fit. And this friend asked me what I did. And I said, well, I'm an Endangered Species Act specialist. And he said, yeah, but what does that mean? And I started rattling off what I did in my day job. I helped clients evaluate regulatory risks for their projects. I translated technical information from scientists into digestible content for regulators and clients. I led cross-functional and stakeholder-based processes. I did program project management. I led a team. At some point, he stopped me, and I'll never forget this. Very enthusiastically, he's like, we need that. And of course, he worked in financial services. I had never really thought about those skills in the context of other industries. but that one conversation opened that door for me in a way that I hadn't expected. And what I really realized was that without even intending to, I had spent that first chapter of my career, which, was the science chapter, actually building a whole bunch of transferable skills that were universally applicable in any industry. That was really what precipitated and opened the door for me moving into financial services, which at the time was a huge change. I was terrified. I had no idea if I was going to like it. Fortunately, I did, but it was definitely also an eye-opening moment where I realized I can do more than I ever thought that I could, or there's more possibility out there than I ever thought was there. I share this with you in this story and this journey because I continue to believe in the power of transferable skills. In times of change or uncertainty, kind of like what we're experiencing today in the tech industry, I believe that having a strong foundation of industry agnostic transferable skills is a superpower that should not be underestimated. For me, resiliency is first and foremost about investing in skills that make me adaptable, like a career chameleon. I can blend into whatever environment or circumstance I find myself in professionally, and when you have periods of uncertainty or periods of volatility like what we're experiencing today, that is so liberating and so freeing. And as professional women, especially as women in tech in this moment that we're in right now, self-investment, investing in these skills that make us more employable, that make us better at our jobs, that open more doors for us, is absolutely 100% a form of self-care. So I want to spend the rest of the time that we have together today talking a little bit about the transferable skills that I think have been the biggest enablers in my career so far, including my, multiple career and industry shifts over the years. I'm going to run through these. I've got 9 for you today. I'm going to run through them really quickly. Some of them are a little bit repetitive, but I hope that some of them will resonate with you and be areas that maybe you consider investing in the future for yourself as well. So first, translating complex concepts into digestible content. Taking things that are hard and making them easy is absolutely a skill and a superpower. And if you can do that and you can do that well, every field needs that. Whether I've worked with scientists or modelers or engineers or lawyers, I've worked with so many lawyers. Like being able to synthesize information for a non-technical audience has proven completely invaluable. To test yourself, write something hard and then rewrite it again until it's easier and just keep doing it until it's like almost 5th grade level and super consumable and super digestible. Next, storytelling. I'm a former high school and collegiate debater. I think I've been telling stories since I was 7th grade. Some of them have even been true. But the thing is that people don't build an emotional connection to random facts and isolated pieces of information. If you want people to take a certain behavior on as a result of the information that you're giving them, they have to understand the why and the story and have the emotional connection to what you're telling them. This is so important, especially for leadership and executive level communication. Just understanding this is the data and this is how it gets us to the outcome and making that extremely clear. Next, presentation quality. You can translate hard ideas, you can tell a perfect story, but if you put it in a format that is ugly and hard to consume and hard to see, it doesn't really matter. And I know it's crazy and people push back on me when I say that aesthetics matter, but personally I get so distracted when I get a slide in front of me with different fonts or misaligned text or grammatical mistakes or just bad color combinations. And I'm not the only one. If people are distracted by the format that you're putting in front of them, then the content doesn't matter. So take the time to build skills to make beautiful slides. I think it really matters. And this also applies to things like papers that you're writing or your resume or cover letters. Aesthetics absolutely matter. Make them look good. Number 4, foundational project management skills. Being able to understand the life cycle of a body of work end to end is an important skill. You have to be able to identify risks and issues as they emerge and brainstorm mitigants to those. I have never had a job interview where I wasn't asked about a time I had to solve a problem or dealt with a risk in a project that I wasn't expecting and what I did to solve it. Whether it's a project management, program management, or any job out there, that's a very common skill that people expect you to have. Also, part of this is the ability to drive accountability through effective delegation, which is also so important to your own mental health and to delivering meaningful work. On that note, number 5 is stakeholder engagement and management. I think the bottom line for stakeholder engagement is that relationships matter. Understanding how people like to receive information, how people consume information best, how to get people to do what you need them to do, all of that just takes knowing people. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for dealing with stakeholders. So take the time to really invest in the people you work with the most often, understand what gets them excited, what motivates them, what gets them to deliver work, and focus on that. And then always keep that as a skill that you take with you, where you actually take the time to invest in the people enough to understand how to get them to deliver the results that you need. Next, leadership. I think when I say leadership, I want to be very clear. I do not mean people management. You do not have to be a people manager to be a leader, and not all people managers are leaders. I think of leadership as the most at its most fundamental level is how you show up, the tone that you set for your team, how you set the standard, how you bring positivity to a conversation, how you bring motivation to a conversation, how you show up with emotional intelligence and maturity. I think it's important to understand the difference between management and leadership and to really embrace that leadership quality, even if you aren't leading a team of people. Next, organization, number 7. So I called this one out in particular because I am married to my planner. I have it, it's right here. It goes with me everywhere. You want to watch me get into a lot of trouble, steal my planner. And I also often joke that if you want me to do something, you need to watch me write it down, because my brain is where information goes to die. There's this thing that one of my leaders in my current role says, which is the say-do ratio, and how you want your say-do ratio to be very high, which is if you say you're going to do something, do it. The way to keep that high is to be organized, to have a really clear list of what your expectations are, how you're delivering against all of them, when they're due, how you're going to do them. And if you have that and you have that documented and you have it clear, it sets you up for success. I also think of this as when people come to you with a question or asking for information about your area of expertise, the speed with which you can respond to them and give them the information they need is wholly dependent on how organized you are. Number 8 is planning, especially strategic planning. It is so easy to get distracted by the chaos of the moment that you're in and forget to think about the long game. Being able to think things through a strategic lens with an eye for long-term goals and outcomes is a skill that can save you so much time and stress down the line. We get so kind of caught up and absorbed in the work we're doing in front of us that we forget to kind of look up and look out. And I just cannot stress enough how important it is to practice your skill of, like, lift your head up off the table, look up, look out, think about where we're going, and is this work we're focused on today still getting us in the right direction? And if not, what do we need to do to reprioritize it? Finally, and this one is actually my favorite, strong writing fundamentals. I think especially in STEM, because writing is maybe not as much prioritized during our education, we are not as good at writing as people in some other fields, and I think that this can be a major hindrance. I remember with extreme clarity the moment when my professor, my freshman year in college, handed me back my very first college paper and said, I didn't grade this because it didn't seem fair to give a freshman an F on their first paper, but you clearly do not know how to write. And just how devastated that made me inside, and also how committed it made me to really putting in the effort and the work to improve my writing skills. And I really think I've been able to do that. And I also think if you can write in a clear and compelling way, you can do anything. There's nothing I don't think I could convince someone is a good idea, because I know I could write it in a convincing and clear way. On this point, I think that track changes are hurting all of us. Just a life hack or a tip. When you accept all changes and track changes, you're not actually focusing on what the problem was and how you can fix it and how you can solve it and how you can learn from it. The best tool to learning to improve your writing is to have people review your writing with a traditional red pen. I'm very handy with a red pen, but there's something about having to, like, kind of interpret people's handwriting, understand exactly what they meant when they put the feedback in, and then actually manually making the change yourself on the computer that actually helps you go through the learning process in a way that track changes can't. So my advice is have your friends, have your peers, have your managers review your writing and have them do it with a pen, not in track changes, because it'll force you to actually learn the mistakes that you're repeating and help you build what you need to fix those moving forward. I've been plunged into darkness, so I guess that's a good sign that we should wrap up. I want to just say, again, thank you so much for having me. I hope that some of these skills have really resonated with you. I hope that some of them motivate you and inspire you for things that you can go back on work on to help, like I said, like invest in yourself as a form of self-care. This has been a wild year for us in tech. I think it's going to continue to be a wild year for us in tech. But if you think really creatively about the skills that you already have, because I actually bet if you go back and look at your jobs now, you are already doing a lot of these skills that we talked about today. Think creatively about how you can apply them in new ways, either in your current job or in a future job. And think critically about where you might also invest in improving these skills if there were any gaps that jumped out to you as being alarming. I think there's so many resources, as I said, available to help improve these things. And you have all of those at your disposal, either through the internet. Reach out to me. I'm happy to chat. I'm available on LinkedIn. Send me a message. We can talk. And then just, the people at this conference, the people all around, like, we have a really strong network of people that can help you with these skills. So take the time. I hope that you'll feel like this is a worthwhile endeavor, a worthwhile investment in yourself and in your future, both your professional and your personal future. And I think when you build transferable skills and you have that strong foundation, you're guaranteeing that you're going to be able to shine your light wherever you want to shine your light in the future, whether you want to be in a new industry or stay in the same industry that you're in, whether you want to advance in your career, try something completely crazy and new. Like, investing in yourself and investing in your ability to do that is such a superpower and such an act of strength. So I'm so excited for all of you. I'm so excited for us all finding new ways to grow ourselves this year and into the future. And as I said, if there's ever anything I can do, just reach out. And I hope you all have the best time at the rest of this conference. Thank you so much. Bye.